Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. I'm doing great. I just got back from when we were young out in Las Vegas. Like literally just got back from it. So I'm exhausted. Going on like 3 hours sleep, so. That's great. But I am excited, I got a new fragrance in. It is from Rasasi. It's Hawas Ice. Of course, this is the new flanker to the ever popular Hawas, which has drawn many comparisons over the years to Invictus and Invictus Aqua, smelling similar to Invictus Aqua. So the question here today is Hawas Ice. How does it smell? How different is it from Hawas? And is it worth checking out? And that's what we're gonna talk about today. Also take a look at this present. I've got this one linked in the description below. Feel free to check it out down there. It has popped up a couple different discounters at this point. It's at Joma Shop, it's at Fragrance Buy. It is way more affordable at Fragrance Buy. Do be aware though that with this one, you know, being a flanker of Hawas, which is extremely popular, and you know, at times Hawas has been hard to find for a decent price. This one, Hawas Ice, my anticipation is that it's gonna be kind of a pain to get for a minute. So basically one of those deals where if you want it, especially if you see it in stock at a good price, you probably want to scoop it up because it's gonna go, oh, sold out, and then it'll do that whole song and dance.
It's sold out.
By the way, if any of you were out there when we were young, let me know which band was your favorite. My favorite, The Offspring. Presentation time, here we go. On the front, we got the name of the fragrance, Hawas Ice. You have the size and concentration, 100 ml eau de parfum. You have nothing on the sides. On the back, it says Rasasi, and a little more info there. And then on the bottom, you have your ingredients, your badge code, your barcode. My bottle, manufactured August of this year. And here we have the bottle, same style as the original Hawas, only different coloration. So this one has a nice gradient, blue at the bottom, clear up toward the top. Really like the look of the cap. I think it looks really sleek. Then on the bottom you have a sticker, and the cap does click into place, as you can see right there. Check out the Hawas. Not quite as good. So this is essentially first impression, because I only did just get this in. It was waiting for me when I came back from the festival, sprayed it on, you know, opened it up, sprayed it on right away. But this is not like a full review where I've been wearing this thing for weeks or something. So keep that in mind. So one of the first things you're gonna notice with Hawas Ice is just how fresh it is off the top. It has a good amount of mint in there, really brisk, eye-opening, smells great. I feel like it's overall higher quality than the original Hawas, at least off the top, it comes across that way. Just as soon as you blast this guy on, yeah, it smells awesome. The citrus is that kind of perfect blend of being a little bit natural smelling, but then not being so rindy that it's gonna turn people off. It's more juicy, fresh, sweet, and has that, like I said, big dose of mint in there that gives it a really just refreshing opening. Now, it's not that Hawas, the original, smells bad off the top, but Hawas definitely leans more toward that bubblegummy, sweet side of things, whereas Hawas Ice gives you a much fresher, higher quality smelling opening. So Hawas Ice off the top, definitely more my style. Just a little bit nicer smelling, more pleasant, less aggressively bashing you over the head with synthetic sweetness. Yeah. You get a little touch of orange blossom that comes out as this one dries down, just kind of on the periphery of the fragrance, not really focal point, but you get that soft, kind of white floral aspect as the fragrance kind of transitions from the opening into the mid. And as Hawas Ice dries down, it gets a little bit closer to how Hawas smells. So the opening is where they're going to be most different. You know, the opening, I don't think if you spray these on side by side, you'd be able to confuse them at all. Once you head into the dry down, they get a little closer and you can see that family resemblance more. Hawas Ice does continue being the fresher of the two. It doesn't get, as I said before, as much of a bubblegummy synthetic sweetness to it, which I appreciate a lot. You get some cardamom, the cardamom is lightly noticeable through the mid. The plum in Hawas Ice, you can definitely pick up the way that it comes across. Which is kind of interesting, you know, the plum being used in here, and then it's also in, for example, Yope Ohm Ice. Not the same fragrance or anything like that, just funny that both of those are ice fragrances or ice flankers, and then both of them make use of plum. And the dry down, you've got Tonka Amber Sandalwood, so about what you would expect, you know, a little bit of additional warmth that comes out as it dries, that sweetness kind of maintains from the opening into the dry down, just done in different ways. Initially very fresh, very enlivening, and then as it dries down, a little bit warmer, creamier. On the whole, I think Hawas Ice smells better than Hawas. This is more something I would want to wear. Not that I dislike Hawas at all, obviously extremely popular and for a good reason. It's just overall, this is really, really well done. And really, it's what it says on the front, right? This is basically taking the idea of Hawas, what they did with the original, but then redoing it to be more of an icy fragrance, a fresher fragrance, and easier wearing fragrance, most specifically for those warmer months. So it's one of those deals where you smell Hawas Ice and you're like, ah, yeah, the name makes sense here. I love it. I think that it smells, as I said a couple of times, higher quality, better put together, just, you know, a little more unique as well, because it doesn't lean as far onto that Invictus-y side of the ball field like Hawas does. And when I say that, I'm just talking about all those fragrances that are Invictus-like, you know, all the different scents that have that kind of Invictus style to them. This one doesn't lean as far toward that. I mean, still, you know, it's related obviously, but with this one you can smell it and you're not going to immediately be like, oh, it's 100% Invictus, right? So it gets close, but not as close as Hawas. Now, in terms of performance, the original Hawas has long been known as a bit of a beast, a bit of a performance beast, so how does Ice stack up? Actually, really good for me, especially off the top. Like, it is strong off the top. Part of that is gonna be the atomizer is really good. As you can see there, a nice concentrated blast, but it performs really well initially. And it has good longevity as well, or at least it seems to. Again, you know, basically first impressions here. It really pushes initially for quite a while, and then it's still lingering on my skin many hours later, so no complaints. Maybe it's not as strong as Hawas. I haven't been able to compare them side by side and like time how long each one has lasted or anything at this point, but certainly not disappointing. And in terms of seasonality, I mean, realistically, I think you could wear Hawas Ice just about any time. I know that, you know, it's in this kind of presentation, it has the name Ice, and that's gonna make you think summer and summer only, but no, not really. It has enough heft, enough push to it that I think it would smell really good during the winter and last long enough to make sense wearing then also. A bunch of times, especially with fragrances that make use of mint, when you wear those during the colder months, it really takes like the refreshing aspect of the fragrance and amplifies it by 10. It's like chewing 5 gum, right? Like
Chewing gum?
Can really help set you apart. Don't wear this, I would say, just during the summer. I think year round. Does lean more toward being a daytime scent than nighttime scent though, but as always, wear it whenever you want. So I guess the final thing here, the price. That is the thing with this one. Where it's new and where it is a flanker for really popular fragrance, the price is high at a lot of places right now. When I say high, I mean like $90, $100, somewhere around there for this one. And that's pretty steep because in the past, maybe not right this minute, depending on where you're looking, but in the past, Hawas pretty affordable, right? You could find it a lot of times, what, like 30, 40 bucks? I mean, depending on how many places had it in stock, that would fluctuate up or down potentially. If everybody had it in stock and they were kind of competing with each other, the price would go down. If it was one of those time periods where it was not in stock, the price would go up. You know, with Hawas, you probably didn't want to ever pay more than like 50 bucks, right? If you paid more than that, you overpaid. Pretty much the same deal with this one. I mean, that's the mindset, right? It's the same line here, the same company. Again, to me, it smells a little higher quality than Hawas, but not double the high point of what you would pay for the original. So if the high point for Hawas was like 50, you don't want to pay double that for the new one. If the normal point for Hawas was like, let's say 40, you don't want to pay double and a half that amount for the new one. So yeah, that 90, $100 price point for Hawas Ice. I mean, if you just can't wait, then I guess it is what it is. You know, at that point, what are you gonna do? But I wouldn't advise people to pay that much for it. I think that's an overpay, personally. I think that price point around 50 bucks, that's a much more realistic price point. At that price point, yeah, all day, every day. And if you get it for less than that, nice. That's a solid pickup. Even a little above 50, sure. Where it's brand new, yeah. But once you get up to triple digits for this one, yeah, I think at that point, it kind of loses a little bit of that luster where you don't feel quite as good about the purchase. There we go, Hawas Ice, really well done, extremely solid. You can take this stuff and just legitimately spray it on like that, go in for a smell right away, and not get hit with a big bunch of alcohol or like a chemical mess or anything. It's just right away. I mean, it's just awesome off the top. I love the opening of this stuff. So there we go, Hawas Ice. I'm out of here. I'm going to sleep. Again, if any of you went to when we were young, let me know. Stay safe out there, guys. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video.